What's up, everyone? Welcome back to BRAP. It is Wednesday, October the 1st, and we got a lot of news to talk about. A lot. Look, I knew this was going to be a great show anyway with this returning guest that we have here. But we have Xbox has gifted us some topics to discuss this evening. But let me introduce this individual here, returning guest. I've known him, believe it or not, one of the first individuals I connected with, and I always like to share this story. I've been on gaming Twitter for 12 years, and this individual is one of the first individuals I connected with. The original Xbox insider self. We got Tim Dog. What's going on, Tim?
How you guys doing? How you doing? It's I know Logic's coming down, or he is, but I'm happy to be here. We got to cover pretty hefty topics tonight. So if you're listening, tell your friends to get on and listen because I think the information you're getting is going to be from two critically thinking, well-versed individuals that aren't going to give you any kind of slant or kind of fanboyism. It's just the facts at this point. It's going to be a good show.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think it's important, and I always just I always enjoy sharing that bit of history between us. That
Yes.
I remember Project NATO fan. I mean, it's right there. I remember you as Project NATO fan. I remember you guys going to E3. Like, I think it was it 2013 that you guys went to E3?
2015, I believe.
Was that the first? Okay.
The first one. The first one I was at.
Okay. So, and I remember like seeing the pictures and you guys were all excited. I'm like, this is fucking awesome. This is cool. And, I remember seeing the pictures with Aaron, Phil, and, the Xbox team. And I just thought it was really, at the time, it was really, really cool. And, it just, it's amazing how, the course of 12 years, Xbox has changed him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, could you imagine any of the stuff that's happened 12 years ago?
No, I would never in my wildest dreams 3 years ago would think we were in this position. Even, 2023, I wouldn't think that what we're in right now is something that really, I could envision it when I kind of got wind of everything and kind of like when I started telling people that this is going south, way south. In 2024, it was February. I had an inkling in January, but yeah, it's really kind of it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and we're gonna get into it. And like I said, I know I said it, but you really want to listen to what we have to say here.
Yeah, let me get Game Logic in here. We have with us Game Logic. Who's the profile? Is that Amy the Hood?
That is Amy the Hood. Good morning, gamers.
Oh man.
Good morning. Good morning, gamers.
Oh my God. You came in with Amy the Hood. Oh my God.
He's dropping bombs too.
Well, wow. It's funny, Tim, because before we went live, we talked about the February thing, right, in 2024, and a lot of the criticism that people were lobbing at you, throwing your way, and I was like, guys, like, first of all, like, and I said this, the start of the show, that you're the original Xbox insider. Right. And I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm saying because it's true.
Yeah.
Like you and I remember 12 years ago, we're talking about things happening behind the scenes at Xbox and a lot of hell. I remember. I don't know if you were there, but it was me. Worry Southbound was there, and we were actually in a. This was during the Division beta. I don't know if you were in this party chat, but we were actually playing Division with Phil Spencer. And
yes, I really think it was there. Yes,
and I was just surprised at the time, Tim. And the reason I share the story at the time, I was genuinely surprised that like Phil was like playing like video games with you guys.
Yeah,
like, just hanging out.
Yes, I played with Phil pretty much
Oh, Tim, did we lose you?
No, that's me. Can
Oh,
you hear me?
okay. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yep.
All right, no, it's because my time. I got to do the timeout, but on my phone. But so in 2000, when did Halo? So 2015. Actually, we played Halo 5 and finished co-op together with Phil. It was me and Rand, and literally up until 2023.
Big shout out to Randall Thor. But yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Randall Thor. Literally played pretty much every other week, sometimes every week, sometimes a Wednesday in a week. Played with Phil. I used to go to the point where I used to have to go make myself don't show up on live because I didn't want to be bothered or like, hey, can you get me in? Not that I had a problem with that, but yes, I played with Phil pretty much since Halo 5. We finished it together, and yeah, I played all the time with Phil. It would be every like a weekly thing, and we had a lot of conversations. And it was an honor, at the time, and I was very appreciative of it. And, I mean, when it came to the point where I had to, basically tell the fans what I had to tell them, uh, it sucked, but I had to weigh certain things, and, Phil and I were cool friends, but the reality was that, and I told this to Phil, you are still fighting for my dollar. You're still fighting for my consumerism. And he knew that about me. And there was a couple of times when that really like reared its ugly head. Crackdown 3 was one incident. That actually cost Rand because Rand was outspoken about it. And then Phil ostracized him and wouldn't play with them again or talk to him sparingly. But,
Hey,
that
I'm sorry, Tim.
that really happened.
I want to rope Logic into this. Logic, when you hear an executive like doing this, like what comes to mind for you, Logic?
I mean that is very intentional, right? That there was an intention to. I mean, I wrote a lot of things today.
Yes,
one of the
did,
things
yeah.
that I wrote was that the quote unquote old Microsoft corporate philosophy about competitiveness under Gates and Ballmer, which was embrace, extend, extinguish, right? That it was this whole very deliberate methodology to kind of befriend people and act like you were their buddy. I mean, and other competitors, sometimes they were planning on acquiring or Sherlocking their product or whatever, right? Embrace them, befriend them, act like you're their friend, be their buddy. Then, I mean, I'll just say blatantly, steal their stuff, right? Or take their ideas and then drive them out of business, right? With the business intelligence you've gained. And I said today that we have this whole thing that under Satya that has changed, that it's, that he's had this big thing about let's not be like a know-it-all culture anymore. I don't think that it's changed. I think that it just got rebranded, and I think it got stuck behind a smile. And I think this is part of it. It's an analog, right? That the intention was deliberate to kind of extend access to people, right? To befriend them, but then to expect things back from that, right? To expect loyalty, to expect a towing of the line, to carry the torch and carry water for the brand, right? Rather than exercise your free thought, your free speech, and give feedback, whether it be positive or negative. And that, when the negative feedback came, then we wanted to clutch pearls, and we wanted to say, well, that's not what's expected of you. Well, hold on, time out. I didn't sign any NDA. I didn't sign any like relationship agreement. I didn't join a church.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Tim.
I think he's right. I think if I look back on it, and I remember Broken Gamer and other people saying he's not your friend, and I'd be like, yeah, right. Well, I play every time, all this, and you guys are jealous and this and that. But the reality is, me and him were. I probably was in his in what he was doing, there was part of a motive there, 100%. I hate to say that, but yes, because if we were truly friends, we would have, he would have, we would have, there would have been things that were different. Like
Mhm.
he wouldn't like he would give me his phone number, like and I understand why he wouldn't give me his phone number, but I've been with all the executives, and I have pretty much everyone's phone number, and they have mine at the time, but Phil was always clear with that. So honestly, if I'm being honest here, yes, and that also kind of reared its ugly head when the whole thing with Rand happened, because Rand was openly critical on what happened with Crackdown 3, and it was a big issue. And he was right, because Crackdown 3, the whole thing, especially that Larry, the Major Nelson stream that was, we saw the game and we were like, what this looks like a 360 game. And there was major issues. Rand spoke out on it, and then he definitely got hit. They pushed him out. And the thing is that knowing when I went into doing what I did, I didn't give Phil the chance to do that. I basically pulled the rug out from under him, and that's why I kind of feel like he has he feels a certain way, is because I I basically did it to him, and I caught him by surprise. He thought he had me, locked in under a guise of a real friendship, when I kind of knew that it was bullshit. And I kind of like did it to him, and that's basically what happened. So,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
Tim, before we get into some of the Xbox things that we want to talk about, some of the things you've been hearing,
uh-huh.
some of the things that we've talked about, you've talked about on this show, things that we said were the direction that Xbox is going. I do want to go to the Game Pass update thing right today, where Microsoft announced an increase to the price of Xbox Game Pass, really with their Game Pass Ultimate tier. And I have this up here right now. So let's see here. I'm trying to pull this. All right, here we go. It's right here. So you get the essentials. It's $10 a month. 50 plus games, now playable on PC, console, and cloud. So they did, Logic, you and I talked about this. They did include PC now, right? With some of the other tiers.
Yeah. So one of the things that should be clear is everyone who's a Game Pass subscriber now, you are now a member of PC Game Pass.
Yeah.
Your PC Game Pass is now tiered, which it previously had not been. And so people will likely feel, a certain way about that, or not. I personally like that. It was just PC Game Pass, and it was everything. You didn't have to think about it, right? Consumers now have different price points, and depending on how you come at it, some consumers will see that as a positive. Like I can buy in, lower. Some will see it as problematic because they'll look at it as paywalling certain features at higher tiers. I think the big thing that we talked about earlier today that I mentioned was that this is an upside, technically. And listen, tonight, I'm not going to be here that long tonight. Unfortunately, I've got another show I got to go do. But when you hear me say upside to things about this is not my commentary on how I expect the market to take it. It is a mathematical statement that a thing that costs a objective dollar valuated amount of money has been added to a service of the tier, right? So when we get to Ultimate and we talk about, hey, Fortnite Crew has been added, okay, that is normally $11.99 a month. I'm not going to have an argument with you that more hasn't been added to Ultimate, right? You can feel however you feel about it, about whether or not it's worth it, but I'm not going to argue about whether or not like a certain dollar sign value of a thing has been added to a tier of the service. So for people who have purchased the Asus ROG Xbox Ally, who pre-ordered and are really down with that product, you have been like and you're subscribed to Game Pass, but you hadn't bumped your Game Pass, right? You weren't on PC Game Pass yet, or you hadn't bumped the Ultimate. Now you don't need to. You can be at one of these tiers if that satisfies you, and you can partake of Game Pass content on PC because Asus ROG Xbox Ally is a PC. It's not a console. You're getting extra value there, right? From for your added investment of $500 or $600 or $1,000 that you spent on that device of content that you can now access.
Yeah, I mean, they to your point, they did add some additional things to the Ultimate, which is the highest tier. There you're getting 400 plus games. Yeah,
did Xbox? So I knew Xbox Cloud Gaming got added to Premium. Did it also get added to Essential?
Yes, unlimited cloud gaming's on Essential.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so they beefed up the tiers, right? They added some things. With the Essentials, you get 50 plus games. It's $10 a month now, playable on PC, console, cloud. To your point, Hamp, like if you're somebody that's buying the Xbox ROG Ally X, again, it's not an Xbox console. I had some people saying that to me today, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's a Windows PC handheld that's branded as an Xbox device. I said I forget the word that I use now. Logic. It's an Xbox. I don't know if it was an extension or. Jesus, now I forgot the word that I used to describe
hybrid.
It. No, not a hybrid. What the hell did I say earlier, Hamp?
I don't know. I thought you said like Xbox adjacent or something like that.
Oh yes, thank you. That's it. Yeah, it's an Xbox. God, I'm getting old. I can't remember shit. It's an Xbox adjacent device. But I've had people tell me that this thing it's a console. I'm like, no, it's not a console. It's a Windows handheld PC. So to your point, Logic, like if you're somebody that's going to buy a Windows handheld device like the Xbox ROG Ally X, yeah, then this is I think this is a big incentive for you potentially to jump into one of these tiers, right? Because now you have it across the board. You have Game Pass across the board. But the tier that really in the premium tier is 200 plus games. That's $15 a month. That's the old price of Game Pass Ultimate. That is new Xbox published games within a year of launch. You're not getting those Xbox first-party games day and date. You get unlimited cloud gaming with shorter wait times, in-game benefits, including for Riot Games, online console multiplayer. You get to play and are up to $50 a year in the store with rewards. The Ultimate tier is the one that really caught there's a lot of conversation around this particular tier. I did see some on Twitter voice their displeasure with the increase in price. Others seemed okay with it. But this one is they basically increased it to $30, 50% increase. So you get 75 plus day one. You get 70 plus day one games a year, which is actually an increase, including all Xbox published games day one. You get Ubisoft Plus Classics and EA Play included, with Fortnite Crew coming in November. You get unlimited cloud gaming at our best quality with the shortest wait times. Logic, didn't we call that they would tier something with cloud? I feel like that we had that conversation.
Yeah, what was that last piece you added about wait times?
Unlimited cloud gaming at our best quality with the shortest wait times.
What tier is that?
That's Ultimate.
So that means when you connect to a game, you will be in a higher, faster queue than somebody on Essential.
Oh, so wait, so are there queues? Like I knew that there were queues when it was like, I mean, they've used this term beta like forever, right? But I think I would say, let's be clear. There's been beta and there's been beta, right? There was beta when they were up against
the original beta, like
there was beta when they were up against Stadia, where it wasn't in a tier. It was something you could sign up for, and if you were on Android and iOS, but you had one Xbox account, you actually had to sign up for them separately.
Right. It was like the Insider program,
yes.
If I remember correctly.
And when you were on those, there were queues. But since it has been in Xbox Cloud Gaming in the Ultimate tier, I have never seen any queues. So are they bringing queues back because I think it sounds to me like they're bringing queues back arbitrarily to create more differential between these different tiers.
Well, I mean, good luck trying to get an answer from them on that because they're just not talking. So, a very logical question, but in my opinion, I think if they are advertising, yeah, they are putting you in a faster pool versus essential. So they're basically saying that you're a premium user. We're identifying you as a premium user, so you're not going to get you're going to get shorter wait times. Again, did they speak on it? No. Are they going to speak on it? Good luck.
So my theme for this thing so much
Yeah.
I'm not fully on like the PlayStation hardcore side where I'm looking at this and I'm saying none of this makes sense, right? There are little pieces and bits and dribs and drabs where things make sense and things are of value. However, there is a steady theme here, which has actually been here since the last time they tiered things, which is that there's a lot of bullshit, arbitrary CFO, accounting office, financial stuff here to nickel and dime people to mystically create magical arbitrary tiers that don't really mean anything and don't have to be that way to justify that there are tiers. And differentiated queues across the 3 levels for Xbox Cloud Gaming is an example of one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, listen. The thing that struck me about it is that they are on record for saying that they want to hit 70 million by 2027 and 100 million by 2030. It kind of it doesn't seem they are no longer their projections. So then you have to ask yourself, what are they trying to do here? Now the buy-in price for day and date, which is the biggest thing, is the cheapest and the most mass market that you're going to go after is PC Pass, which is $17. So right there, they're telling you we value PC, or our mass market now is PC. Our niche market is the 30 or the whale market, if you whatever you want to call it. The market that I think that they're targeting with, if they do an extra upcoming console and the ROG Ally X at $1,000, that tier seems to be that they're trying to get the most the bang for their buck or the most money. Now, there's a lot of questions with this, and that's why you have the virality or the viralness of what's going on, is because there is a lot of questions, and the problem is that Xbox, not only they're not addressing it, I don't think they're going to answer any questions. And that in itself also signifies that there's something bigger at play here. What that is, we can speculate, and I will speculate on what I think it is. But yeah, this is pretty major news. And I don't think we're going to get any kind of clarity from them. So it will be a guessing game, and the fact that they didn't address this and how bad it got, it screams something. It's screaming something like they don't either care or they're 100% going through this, and they have some type of plan moving forward that they are going ahead of, and that's, I think, maybe leveraging the existing ecosystem. And basically, the console of what you in asterisks is really a market that is very small. The Xbox console, if they do it, in my opinion, we were talking 20 million, 30 million at highest. That no longer is true. I'm talking like 2 to 5 now, because I think that obviously they have to have a manufacturer with AMD and contracts. If their projections are right, or they're going to be going for certain projections, they can't be at the high end. This is not, it's not adding up to what the amount of money that they put in, and it seems like there's something going on. And I'm going to let you guys talk, but I'll further go on what I think that they're doing or where this is pointing to.
Yeah, let me grab this super chat here real quick. The Gaming Ledger with the $5 Canadian super chat says, "Sad to see that we went from more to the sad state it is now. I remember being at EB Games waiting in line November 2001. Have a good show, guys. Thank you, Gaming Ledger. And for those who don't know, I actually helped build Xbox Live. I was an Xbox Live beta tester.
What was that?
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting, Tim and Logic, like this. Well, actually, let me get this one more super chat here. T-Rock.
Go ahead. Yeah.
T-Rock with a $5 super chat says, "BRAP is old and had too many IPAs. His memory has the value of Game Pass now. Wow. It's a good thing Death Stranding 2 has a lot of colors and pretty pics." Okay. Well, thank you, T-Rock. No, you know, like one of the things that I said earlier today, Logic and I were talking about this, having a conversation around the announcement, is that, and to your point, Tim, like they haven't come out and really addressed anything. Just put this out there and just left it out there. And I thought that I saw Mr. Matty Play's comment. I saw a couple other comments by some content creators, influencers, and that idea that this goodwill that Xbox has built up. And I remember, Logic, we've talked about this a lot on this show. Like there was content creators out there, pundits, applying these this level of altruism, about Xbox, that they care about us, they're consumer friendly. And it's like, no, they're a business. I mean, they just put this out here, right? And granted, they've added some additional things. We talked about that earlier to these new tiers, but they did increase the price by 50%. I saw people say, "Hey, look, I don't see value in the things that they've included here. I don't want these things," right? So, I mean, and I've seen some other folks say, "Oh, what's the big deal? It's an additional $10." Well, that $10 could be a tipping point for some consumers. It may not for others. But I think what's interesting is they didn't come out and say anything. They didn't really, I don't think, really got into. I mean, they talked about some of the things that they've added with these tiers, but I guess my point is this: some of the feedback that I've been seeing, and some of the dogpiling, if you will, by GameStop of all places. And GameStop hasn't stopped, by the way. As of 3 hours ago, GameStop put out. Yeah, they put out a tweet. GameStop says we will continue to sell Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for $19.90 a month in store and online. So they haven't stopped. The other thing, I saw Mikey Barr's comment. I guess he replied to a Woolly Gamer. Everything is proceeding as I foreseen. He has the picture of the Emperor. Gamefly took shots at the announcement today. They just wait until you all forgot about Redfall, then wham. This is the GameStop one from earlier. Game Pass, $30 every month. Own nothing. GameStop, buy once, own forever. Math isn't that hard. Like they just
listen.
I mean, like let me just finish this thought real quick, Tim. I said this to Logic earlier. Like my issue with Microsoft, they almost, and I've said this. It's funny. I've used this analogy or this comparison in the past when I was, in my conversations with Lord Cognito. Big shout to the Iron Lords. And I remember I would tell Lord Cognito, they remind me, not the commanders of today. We have new ownership, thank God. But they remind me of the Dan Schneider era commanders. They would have some wins. I would have some wins under the Dan Schneider ownership, and they would step on the rake. And I feel like this is them stepping on the rake again.
Well, I don't know if it's just them stepping on the rake or if it's a sign of something else. I kind of think it's a sign of something else. And
Tim, I say real quick, Tim, I say stepping on the rake from the from just like the optics of it, the fan reaction.
Listen, it's horrible.
The trolling by GameStop,
dude. The analytics of this, and I followed this all day long. The analytics of this are absolutely absurd. They're absolutely all negative or trolling or making fun of them. I'm talking about 100,000 by Discussing Films. I think it's called 91,000, 60,000. The queue for cancelizations today, and I tested it. It was completely. The site was completely crawling. Okay, Tom Warren tried to say it wasn't like he was like, oh, it's just it's always slow, and then he was getting clowned on it. Basically, that's why I say in the old days it would have been stepping on the rake. What I'm saying is that for them not to address it and for this to be this viral, this negative, and still it's still going. Okay, this is still on fire. If you guys remember, they did the same thing with Game Pass about 5 years ago. Do you remember when they had this whole thing and they reversed course overnight? Do you guys
I
remember
remember
that?
that. Yes. With
Okay.
yeah.
That was showing that they cared. This time, I don't think that they're just gonna let this fly. And that means to me that this was a conscious effort that they are either squeezing out the existing whales or the ones that's the big spenders in the ecosystem, and they are redirecting their mass market, and I guess they're targeting PC. What does that leave out, or who does that leave out? That leaves out console. So console, which maybe this, let's say it's 40 million, it was what, 50 million, or let's say it's 35 million this gen, all said and done for consoles, and it was 50 million with Xbox One, 55 million, whatever, 60. The next generation for console, I think, with OEM and with everything globally and with their Xbox, and that's if they decide to do it, because after today, I really do think that they might be reconsidering, or there's definitely. I mean, for them, they're human. Obviously, for them not to notice this and to and or not comment, and or to pretend that this is like normal, is also telling. So, I'm talking about like a 10 million tops for everything. Their market in console is going to be extremely small and it's going to be extremely expensive. They're basically saying if you want to play and you want to play on Game Pass, get your PC. That's where our mass market is. The problem is that PC traditionally has never been anything that's been mass market worthy other than Steam. Xbox has always been the place. Windows never really got any traction. So you're entering something that is very, very bleak, in my opinion. And there's going to be more to this story. This is a developing story, and the next couple of days to the next year, that you're going to see. In my opinion, you're going to see a lot more rumblings and stuff like that. This is not over by any chance. It's actually going to be very interesting the next couple of days, because the amount of how this is blown up is, I mean, polls on Reset Era, everyone says they're canceling. Everyone in the comments were canceling. On the YouTube videos, everyone saying, yeah, we really listened to the feedback. You left at 50%. This reminds me not of this reminds me of the DRM. That's how bad this is. And this time, though, I don't think they're going to address it, and I don't know how far deep this cut is going to get.
So speaking of PC, I'm gonna go to you, Logic. If you see the screen here, Logic, you see Game Pass, right? You see the Essentials, Premium, Ultimate.
Yeah, you got to scroll down.
Yeah, you exactly.
And
you want to see what
now you have
what's
to
hidden here?
now you have to click that to open it to see any of the detail, because that's not because the default is that you can't see it. So in addition to today's craziness, what we previously thought of as PC Game Pass is now the PC only plan, and that's $16.50. It does get you day and date. So if day and date is what you want and you have a gaming PC, the cheapest way to get day and date is via the PC only plan. It does not get you cloud gaming. It does not get you EA. It does not get you Ubisoft. My belief in their demographics in their market is that the people who are on PC Game Pass, which I used to be one of them, they're only on there. They are on there for the express reason, almost entirely, for day and date.
Yes.
They'll play some of the indie stuff that comes through there, just because it's quote unquote free, right? They don't have to even pay the 10 or $20 for it on Steam. So if a little indie game shows up there, you have a lot of people on PC who play a lot of indie games, they'll toe dip into that. But the primary reason they're there is for day and date. That's why the last time they tiered stuff, they dared not pull day and date away from PC. When they put day and date behind the paywall at the ultimate tier, they didn't pull that same thing on PC because I think it would have been catastrophic.
All right. Well, I think that's what. Listen, I think this also points at if they do their next console, that will be their mass market attempt. But you could get the console, you could get that tier. The problem is that this is very. This isn't really straightforward. Like you even said, you have to hit another thing. This is all over the place. This is so tone deaf to me that honestly, it's like they've given up even caring or even given up. In that room where they discuss these things and they have quality control, like it just seems like that's all out the window. I'm not being an alarmist here. I am not being an alarmist here. This is very, very, very strange, and it seems very deliberate to me. I don't know I can suspect what the end game is, but for them to come out with the money that they spent to have something like this at the position that they're in, it's either they're taking they realize they're going to take a loss because this doesn't to me this doesn't scream anything that can really get them to the point where they're even making money back. I mean, if they were in a bad position with their brand before yesterday, I would say it's like went to the point of no return at this point. I mean, and that's where I kind of am getting to this, and that's where where my I guess explosive take is going to take. I only could see one way this goes, guys, and that is basically blow it up, and that means maybe try this, but if it doesn't work, the idea is to blow it all up, sectionalize it, certain things like Activision, make them loan entities, kill software, kill hardware, create something that is compact, and then basically look to sell it off to the Saudis or somebody like that, and take a loss on it and just be done and get rid of it. Because what you have here is something that if it comes and it affects their core services, cloud, LinkedIn, and all the things that they're doing, and it starts to trickle in over there, or there's any kind of that, they're not going to want it. Now you're going to say, well, they spent $100 billion. How could they do that? I just feel like Satya's had enough. I feel that Phil's gone. He's checked out. He's definitely gone. I believe he's going to be gone at the end of the year. And they're going to take it from there. I don't see a cohesive plan here. This is just like, it's just like a mirror for maybe they're just setting this all up because if I'm them, I'm getting the fuck out. Because this is just they just don't have the brand. They don't have the power that they used to. They've taken too many hits over now. The only logical way I could see this going is taking a loss on it, making it somewhat attractive to the Saudis or one of these big groups, and move it from there. And that's my explosive take, and I feel kind of confident about it that that's kind of where this is going. They might wait till like I thought always if they were going to do this is be 2029. Right now after today, it seems like it's really much closer to 2027 type deal. I mean, it's not going to go away. They'll just basically sell it to a Saudi group. They sold what EA that whole thing for 55 billion. If Xbox can get 70 billion or 80 billion, I think that they would walk away and just say, okay, we'll take a loss on it, we'll take a hit, but let's take that money and throw it into AI and just get out of the gaming business. Let's fire everyone. Let's have, let's slim this whole thing down. I think honestly, if you're looking at it as an investor, as somebody that's involved in it, if I was involved in it, I wouldn't be happy about. I mean, but if I'm paid to do that, that's the only way this can go. I don't see them, you know. And BRAP, I'm sincere. I mean, last
Hmm.
time I did this a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we were really throwing everything at the wall trying to figure this out. And then I had that conversation with Rand, and it just can't became clear. I think to the both of us that like maybe more me, but because we were like really like going hard at it, that they're at a point of no return, and then this happens. It's like to me, it's just very clear right now. They are gonna they're selling this off. Xbox in 2 years, 3 years is going to be owned by a Saudi group or
Wow.
one of these groups.
Okay. Logic. I know you got to jump on another show. How are you with time right now?
I got to make my last comments here and then get
Yeah.
out. Thrifty's
All right.
asking me to get over there.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my one joke is my joke, Tim, earlier today was that the PR and marketing. It's clear to me now that they've brought in the PR and marketing team from Vought International. For anybody who watches The Boys.
Oh my goodness.
So it's like
Homelander.
I know you're talking
it's like Homelander has like lased somebody in half and it was caught on a smartphone camera, or like the Deep got caught like banging a dolphin, and they've come in and given them their talking points, right? to smooth this thing over. I'm gonna make my last comment here for the benefit of JD Gamer, to clarify his topic that he's bringing up in the chat. I know JD Gamer is not going to listen because he's got blinders on and just believes whatever Xbox says. But let me put out some truth about how financial accounting works in corporate America. When you see earnings reports and when you see a GAAP compliant, IFRS compliant SEC balance sheet, accounting and accounting rules are all about how you file and how you're going to show the exchange of monies within your operating divisions that you designate, right, within the bounds of the SEC rules. But the SEC rules are incredibly wide, right? It gives you various ways to structure so that these companies can report how they think best benefits their investors, right? So Microsoft reports across 3 operating segments. I think we know that. But there is a thing in accounting called total cost analysis, or TCA. And when I'm speaking on these things, I'm only making this point again for the point of JD Gamer, because I'm sure as I speak on this, he's going to try and tell people that I don't know what I'm talking about. But I speak on these things because my first master's degree was in financial management.
Wow.
So the accounting courses that I took were accounting courses to prepare you for the CPA exam, and then because it was a graduate course, I then took additional courses in strategic financial management. And in addition to all the things that I've done from a work perspective. So in total cost analysis, you represent other cost factors associated with the dynamic of that value stream within your business that may not be represented on your balance sheet. So the balance sheet pretty much simply identifies COGS, cost of goods sold, so money going out, and revenue, right? Money coming in, right? And then you show the profit or the loss associated with that pretty linear mathematical representation. When you sit down and you do total cost analysis, you look at everything that is involved with the cost of driving that value stream. You look at real estate. You look at how much square footage that division occupies within your corporate property matrix. You take hotel services, HVAC, network connectivity, et cetera, and you cut a slice off and you allocate it to that division based on its size. One of the other things you look at is you look at operating costs. So when we talk about is Game Pass profitable, I will readily agree that from a GAAP IFRS perspective, Game Pass is profitable because the company said so. That's what they're legally bound to do. But when you do TCA, which is not publicly released information, that is the information that remains inside the business. And that is the information that people actually use to make decisions on. Because the cost associated with most of these value streams is not simply the cost of COGS, right? That's a very high level, almost hand wavy. I wouldn't say quite hand wavy, but that's a very high level perspective on what it's costing to drive that value stream. as they've mentioned before, right, the cost of first party game development is not allocated to Game Pass, and that absolutely makes sense from an accounting perspective. It is its own standalone P&L center. Those costs would still be incurred whether or not you had Game Pass or not, right? But when you look at a total cost analysis, you are going to absolutely look at, is there leakage? Is there cannibalization occurring because people are subscribing to a subscription service and not paying for full title games? And what I'll say on that is that math we don't know, and we couldn't know. And no one that I've seen, because they don't typically tend to have the background that I do, has made anything that smells or looks anything like an educated guess on what that would look like. So is Game Pass profitable from an SEC balance perspective? Absolutely. Is Game Pass profitable if I were to sit down and do a TCA? That I don't know.
Can
Right?
you venture to give us a guess? Because this is very, very, very interesting to me. You seem like you know what you're talking about, bro.
I mean, I wouldn't want to give a guess. I'd want to sit down and work out the model and actually do the math. I mean, I haven't done that for an incredibly long time. I think just based on market share that we're seeing, like if we just talk about the console, we can clearly see that that's a problem, right?
100%.
Then you make some guesses about like how much they're moving on PC and how much Game Pass is moving, but like Game Pass numbers, almost exactly match what's going on the console, right? So,
Right.
I mean, it's to me, it's an over-under. And what I have said on Twitter is I've said, stop arguing about it. Whether your position is Game Pass is profitable or Game Pass is not profitable, stop arguing about it, because there's some voodoo and some mystification that you're never gonna unearth.
Understand.
But what I will say is like my example of when I talk about a TCA, right, and where the differences are and who says what. Probably a really good and my best example is I was responsible for a P&L center that was attached to an exclusive partnership we had with one of the top 3 cloud service providers in the world, right? And there was an attempt by the marketing guys and the deal guys who had put this package together that when they were briefing the C-suite, they were showing that this value stream was incredibly profitable because they weren't allocating all the costs associated with it. So the comptroller and I sat down and worked up a spreadsheet and a financial model that actually showed all of the actual costs. For instance, the staffing that the CTO division was throwing into the project that were paid on overhead. They weren't charged to my P&L center, right? But they were real labor incurring real costs. We were hiring additional people. Right. So I'm like, let's not walk away saying that this thing is incredibly profitable because you guys aren't representing all of the costs that the company is actually incurring to make this thing go. That's an example of the delta between TCA and what shows up on an SEC balance sheet.
Very interesting.
Okay. All right. I gotta run. You guys have fun tonight.
Excellent context. It's very good.
Thanks a lot, Tim.
Logic, I love the AB the Hood profile pic, by the way.
That was honestly, I maybe one day we'll do this again. But so basically, I mean, I think everyone, you're very technical and you're very smart. So it's some people are just like JD guy, probably his head just blew up. But I was following what you're saying, and I get it. They're never gonna disclose that. But if they're seeing that on a negative, and I assume because if you're getting these type of models, that the argument, or like you said, we'll never know about Game Pass. There's something there that only they know, and I know Colin Moriarty has always been very critical of Game Pass. And I remember I used to get annoyed with him and stuff like that. But
Colin doesn't believe it's profitable. Yeah.
You know what? I'm kind of there with them. I kind of don't. I think that it's not as profitable as you would think. But now what gets me, and the reason why I came to such a drastic conclusion right there, is because they're not going after their projections. So like when they did all this and they were buying Activision and they spent that money, they were thinking they're going to get you saw it in the document, $70 million. That is never happening. And you know what the problem is we don't have critical thinking journalists that you get like somebody that's going to throw them a softball. But these questions are something that like if we really knew, we could have some real context here. So that's why I say I just think one day I honestly I really do feel like I said I think that that's the only um avenue.
Yeah.
And I basically, and I'm going to say this, I talked to a couple of people that
Hey, Tim, real quick, Tim, I
sure.
just want to give Game Logic his flowers. Logic, I know you got to run. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks a lot, man. Hey, Tim, my one comment rocking out there. Yeah, that's my point. Even though I'm saying I don't want to guess, that I land at the same place you are. Right? Is it profitable? Maybe, but the main point is, and that I will assert, with very strong confidence, is that it is not as profitable as simply Game Pass revenue minus cost of goods sold. Right? It's not as profitable as
Yes.
simply Game Pass revenue minus licensing costs for third party content. Right? There's more in that total formula.
A lot more.
Right?
Especially
And that's,
when yes.
yeah, and since we don't know that, right? But I will also say the people who do the hand wave and say it's profitable because I said so, you actually can't say that because you're not aware of all the costs that it's actually taking to make that value stream go.
Well, they'll just lie. That's the truth. They'll just lie.
All
Their
right, guys.
actions will really be what. And thank you so much, man. You really are awesome.
Yeah, I'll talk to you
But
guys
their
later. I'm
Thank you,
out of here.
Logic.
actions, yes,
Yep.
their actions speak more of the truth. That's why this whole
Yeah.
like thing is like, hey, I got you.
No, no.
Like you said it. It wasn't. There is just listen. This whole model indicates something's up. Okay,
Well,
we all know how much gaming you see. Avalanche gaming right now. The development cost a ton, and they have a ton of studios, and they have a ton of games. Like, there's no way South of Midnight made any kind of money. It didn't do. I mean, it did all right, but it did the. Their releases, Indiana Jones, all the money that they put into Indiana Jones, they didn't get the what they thought they were going to get into it. That was maybe what 150 to 200 million. They didn't even come close to that, so they're taking a loss on that, taking a loss on this. Starfield, probably around 250 or around there. Maybe they broke even. But you have all these things and they're all adding up. The only one that probably are definitely in the green is like a Call of Duty, but they got a lot of hits there. And then you get a game that like totally shits the bed, and then you're really in a bad thing. And those hits take hits, and then we also talk about their subscription. Yeah, we got 32 or 33. How many are really did they get the dollar deal? Like there's so much involved here. But what's going on and the way they're acting and the way what everything is screaming is that this is a problem within their organization. And Satya, he does. I met the man. I sat down with the man. He interviewed me. Okay, we talked about video gaming. I said I don't think his to PC is a good idea. Southbound was there. I think Stallion was there. We all sat down. That guy, listen, he doesn't know about gaming. He just doesn't. He's just clueless. I could
Not a
tell the
gamer.
way he talked. He doesn't know. So he's been taken kind of for a ride by Phil. I have to say that's the way I kind of feel. And I think that he knows it now, and he's not happy, but he realized, listen, Phil's done some good. Phil landed him the Minecraft deal, so he has some loyalty. But I think if he had his druthers, if he could have his way, he kind of would just say, let's just kind of like, let's get our money back that we had, like or whatever. If they could get like 100 billion from a Saudi thing and say like it just, it just to get some out and they have to take a little bit of a loss, I think that they would sign up for that because this potentially, if this keeps going and they keep taking these hits, and they've been taking hits after hit, bad things like today, horrible. Like today's a horrible day for them. It's just if it starts to, somebody told me if it starts to dip into their core services, they will drop this thing. And my final thing when you let him go is that I presented what I said to you to people that we all know. I'm not going to give their names. And one person responded with one word to me. He said Dreamcast. That was it. So basically, I'm telling this to people, or I just presented the same exact thing to a very well known, big time name that knows all about this better than anybody that we know, better than I do. And he just said Dreamcast. It tells me all I need to know. So we'll see what happens. Maybe it's not. Again, I'm sincere about this, Enrique, because you generally heard me. I was like, I'm thinking about maybe they could do
I
this, maybe we could do that. I
yeah,
don't
I
want them
remember.
to die. I don't want to say, "Hey, I told you guys, dude." That's not what I'm here for. I'm here for real discussion. I'm for here. I'm for. I would love for them to just get a hit. I've been waiting for them to get that moment for so long. Like I've
Well,
been waiting for them, but it's not coming, in my opinion, or hasn't come. And the
well, I
whole
think
thing with Forza Horizon was weird. It's just very strange what's going on right now.
yeah, I don't disagree with you, Tim. Like my issue with them has been kind of the messaging. I want to address as Logic did, JD gave in the chat, who said the console industry is a mature market. It's not growing. It is growing. And I'll say this, JD, you can run a profitable business, and this is important. This is something that JD and his acolytes don't really think about as relates to mature markets. You can actually run a profitable, successful business in a mature market. Other companies do this. Apple does this. Nintendo does this. Sony does this. It's not, and that's
Rockstar.
really Rockstar. I mean, this is the point. Like you could run a profitable, successful business in a mature market. Is it growing leaps and bounds like it did in the early 2000s? No. But let's add a little bit nuance to that. We had three platform owners, right? We had one at the time of the PlayStation 2 had a Trojan horse with something called a DVD player. It's a big reason why that thing sold above and beyond outside of what I would call the traditional console consumer. But the reality is the dust settled, right? The market settled. There are still people coming into the system, are still coming into the console ecosystem. If you look at the ESA, they just put out a survey. They just released some data from the survey. 68%, or it's actually about 69% of Gen Alpha, Gen Z are playing consoles.
Yeah, I
That's
saw
higher than
that.
PC. Yeah, you saw
That
that,
wasn't
Tim.
that. Yeah, that was very, very good that you did, because that just blew. It blew up in front of all the people that were saying the opposite. And listen, JD, talk to me. Talk to me in like, when is GTA 6 coming out?
Yeah, and the other thing
When
too,
is it
JD,
coming out? When is it coming out? When is it?
May of next year is what
Okay.
Rockstar's saying,
Talk to
and that's
me in
probably
July. Talk to me in July, and we'll talk about the industry. Watch what that game does. That's
well.
what he's missing. Like,
This is because JD wants to prove that the console market's dying because he has a narrative, right?
right.
And I've lived this story with JD. This is why Game Logic gave a lesson in accounting today. And he's like, prove
Brutal.
it. What numbers can you point to me show the console market is growing? Dude, growing in terms of revenue, profit, look at, okay, PricewaterhouseCoopers did analysis on this. Google that. There's other market research firms that have talked about compound annual growth rate for consoles between now and 2035. Look at that. They're all projecting growth in the console space. But you guys want to say, oh, well, because they're not getting new users, that's not growth. No, increased revenue growth is still growth. Period.
I find like JD and those guys, I just kind of find them disingenuous. Like, because it is about finding their narrative. The reality is that, yeah, there's some stagnant parts of it, but it's more on Xbox's side. PlayStation just
Well,
announced that they had the most profitable generation ever. Now,
Hold on, hold on, JD. The way you speak, sir, he fucking took you to school, buddy. Like
yeah.
he took you to
Listen, he didn't take
school.
me to school
And let
too.
me tell
That
you
guy's
something, JD.
evil.
Let me tell you something, JD. You say he can't give me a lesson. The way you articulate yourself,
Listen.
That is all I need to know. The way you
Listen.
behave, I've seen you come
Yeah.
here, obfuscate, gaslight. The way you speak to people, no, bro, you're not on that level. You're not an expert in that.
That guy gave me a lesson. So JD, just sit down. You know that
Yeah,
guy.
like you don't,
That guy is a
JD,
professional. When he said, you listen, when you shut up when he says my first fucking master's degree. I mean, come on, like the guy just schooled me. Well, didn't school me. I just learned from him. When somebody talks like that, just shut up and listen because they know what they're talking about.
JD,
And you know what?
hold on, Tim. JD, he didn't. Big Mike was all, no, JD, this is my point. You are not who you say you are because of how you're replying to us. This is how I know. I mean, JD, come on, dude. Like, seriously, if you are who you say you are, you wouldn't be replying like this. I mean, you're getting your nuts punched in right now. Just look, tap out, take a glass of water, take a deep breath, and come back and be an adult. But honestly, like this whole thing that you do, you come in here, oh, the council market's not growing. It's not growing. You know, it's not growing. And I'm like, dude, no, every research, look it up. There's research firms that have predicted
to you for the
compound annual growth rate. All right. Compound annual growth rate have predicted the console market to continually grow. They've also predicted growth in new markets. So you don't even think about the other markets, JD Gamer. And if you connect the dots of where Xbox and PlayStation are investing in things like the China Hero Project, the Africa Hero Project, Microsoft's also investing in development studios in India and Africa to try to expand their footprint in console gaming, as is PlayStation, because those are new, potentially untapped markets where they can find new console consumers. And to sit there and say, well, you know what? Yeah, PlayStation's down, PS5's down 3 million. Of course, that statistically is insignificant. It's what, 3%, 3.5% less than PS4. But if you look at North America, despite no price decrease, JD Gamer, no price decrease, PS5 is leading PS4.
Listen, the bottom line is that I always felt that guys like JD Gamer and people, they were feeding their narrative and they were trying to give a crutch to Xbox. That was my whole thing. Like, listen, let's just be honest about stuff. I mean, you guys like JD, they look really bad. And I'm not saying this to give myself on or you. Me and you both we look like the intelligent guys at this point because we said there are issues. We question things. We didn't just go, you guys are slam dunking when you get like a PR statement from Microsoft and it's leaving out context or whatever, because they were playing that game too. But the reality is that it speaks for itself. And the things that you guys were pushing just simply aren't true. And that's the bottom line.
Well, I think
when you showed that graph, I kind of just loved it because it just kind of just shut up this whole. I mean, it was really kicking, and Phil and Phil was pushing it too, and Sarah was pushing it too. But you know what? They were wrong, and they were pushing something to basically facilitate their position, and it's not fair. And the truth of the matter is, so let me finish this. Is that it's all playing out the way we said it would.
I mean, Tim, you and I, we talked about this earlier in the show. We've known each other for over a decade, right? And I think some of these guys may be new to the Xbox platform. We lived, breathed the Xbox, the original Xbox, the Xbox 360. In case you don't know, the reference Project Natal fan. If you don't know that, I would question whether or not you're a real Xbox fan. But no, like Tim and I, like we have observed over the last decade the pivots, the fumble of the launch of the Xbox One, the mixed messaging, the back and forth, the decline. We've seen Nintendo and PlayStation increase in popularity, increase in console sales.
I mean, Xbox guys fly over to PlayStation in droves.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't like. And JD, here's a number for you. All right. President's Research analysis. The analysts, President's Research. You can look this up. They're saying global gaming console market is expected to grow from 31.37 billion in 2025 to 65.92 billion by 2034, with a robust compound annual growth rate of 8.6%. You can find similar stats from other research firms. Look it up. That's not conjecture. Those are numbers.
Honestly, I
Here we
feel
go.
like
Here we go. Wait, hold on. Jimmy Mack, Ampere analyst, projected that by the end of 2025, Xbox, PlayStation will calmly be behind 14 million players behind their last generation sales metrics. That is mostly, by the way, Jimmy Mack, that is predominantly on the Xbox side, by the way.
yeah. Well, listen, I honestly, I mean, that's where we're going. We're kind of going off course. And again, I'm not compensating. I'm not going to feed into that talk that like Xbox is a major problem here, guys. If you're gonna not be, if you're gonna be disingenuous and you're gonna, and that's the thing that I don't like. And there's been a lot of people that have been disingenuous about it because they're kind of like giving Xbox a crush. At this point, especially after today, if you're not questioning what's going on, you're truly not an Xbox fan because you're just basically a drone. You're just basically a soldier without a mind, or whatever you want to say. You're not critically thinking. This does not. There's if you're not asking questions after today, you're basically you're lost and you can't be taken seriously. I mean,
Let me ask you. Yeah, let me ask you a question, Tim, because I know you've been talking to some folks behind the scenes. Well,
they
here we go
seek
with
me out
JD.
too. By the way, it's not like
Yeah.
me coming out and DMing this guy, and that they come out and they seek me out. So
Yes, that's JD. That's the point. It's revenue growth. You're saying there's no growth. That is revenue growth. This thing is still going to grow. The point is, JD, you can have a mature market, a mature business, and still drive revenue and profitability. That's all that matters. End of discussion. Move on. Go ahead, Tim.
No, but I mean, just like I mean, I've the reason why I think people like me that talk at that level is because, again, like when Phil said 4 games, I said no. I said you guys, and I remember I got railroaded. That thing they said, Tim, they made big jokes, memes, all this stuff, and then it's like time after time after time, it's like the things that I questioned and said that's wrong, that's not true, they came true. I was right. And then it's like another pivot against me. Now it's gotten so bad where you got like this guy, Alex, and like they lost the argument so bad that they actually believe that I'm a curse. Like, if it's funny and all, and I play into it, but like, come on, like you lost
There's
an
a Tim Dog
argument.
curse now.
Yeah, now it's a Tim Dog curse. Like, no, maybe let's have Xbox take some responsibility now. I mean, come on. Like it's just really gotten to the point where, and you said, well, I noticed you take breaks and stuff. It's like, yeah, because this is the type of stuff that people like JD push, and it's just like stupid. It's just like, okay, you're not gonna critically think, you're not gonna talk on the same level. I'm willing to say I'm wrong with things. I'm willing to say that I'm off with things, and I haven't been 100% right. I mean, the whole thing with the Helldivers too. I didn't think they would ever do that, so I was wrong there. And I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to listen. Like when somebody like Logic speaks, I listen and I really try to keep up because I've always thought of it in that aspect that he said. But when him explaining to it, I I gain knowledge, and that's the whole thing here. We should be trying to gain knowledge. We should not be the console war is like way over now, more than ever it's over. Like that stuff is stupid. Now you should honestly think critically for the industry, what's going economically on with the industry, not only Xbox, and why things are getting so expensive, why GTA is going to probably be 100 at the very least, why there's this whole thing going on. Why is Avalanche Studio closing some of its studios? Why do we keep hearing the same stories over and over? And that's because the industry got itself in a bad position, and Xbox was part of it, and so was Sony. But it looks like it's much more severe on Xbox's side because A, they're not the market leader, and B, they've taken a ton of hits since
Yeah.
2022, since COVID. With COVID, they had that spike, and I think Phil spoke to Satya and and he fed Satya off of that, but they fell off a cliff. 2022
Let me
was the real breaking point when they had the games delayed and or whatever that whole thing was. 2022 was horrible for them.
let me ask you something, Tim. Like, what have you heard recently? Like the last, because I know you said you spoke to Rand, you had some thoughts on some things, and maybe some. I guess maybe something came out of that conversation with Rand. At least that was my interpretation. But have you like what else have you hearing from people that are in the industry about maybe where this thing's going? And maybe what, I don't know if you could share with me what you and Rand talked about. I don't
Well,
want to
me and
out
Ray
Rand
just
because I know
had
we
a
still talking.
really intense
Yeah.
conversation, and it reminded me of the conversation we had in 2017. And I was trying to figure out ways that Xbox can kind of make a run, or even not even come back against Sony, but just basically get themselves in a position. And basically, it just became apparent that this is like going down a bad road. Like, there really isn't. This is not matching up. The math's not matching up. Um, people say this and that, like, oh, they're 3 trillion. They're worth 3 trillion. They're this huge company. They can't be beat. But you're not going to carry something that's not really doing what you need it to do. And I just been speaking to various people and people, I don't want to say names, so, but like, it's just there's a lot to be said that's going on right now, and I would just think that the next year or so you might have major, you know, I always said that 2027 was the year to watch out for, and I still kind of think that, but like the things that I said that might happen very well might happen. And this whole thing of Xbox really could be just something in 10 years that we look back on and say, oh, we reminisce, and it's not there. Sony does not have that problem. Sony is well on their way. They've made their mistakes, but they're run like a true business. I really kind of question the way Xbox is run overall. And that's not a crazy statement. Look what's going on. Just think it's time for people to really just look at the situation and be honest about it. This whole thing, like oh, this and that record profits. You just threw $100 billion at the thing. Of course, you're going to go up in revenue, but you did spend $100 billion. If you throw $100 billion, things are going to go up. But does that mean that it's something that's going to be sustainable, or it's going to make money all the time, or it's on a good road? It doesn't look like it. I mean, what's really positive about Xbox if you look at it right now? What do you see positive? Game Pass? Well, we just went
Well,
over Game Pass.
I will say this though, Tim. I do. The one positive I do see with Game Pass is Microsoft that kind of broadening the footprint of the Xbox ecosystem on other devices. I personally think that's a positive.
Mhm.
With if you incorporate Game Pass into that, having access to all those games, you can play them on multiple
Yeah.
devices. Xbox is no longer tied behind, the Xbox hardware.
But that was the whole
Well,
driver, though,
no,
Brad.
it was. I mean, I've said
So
this to
they're
people.
losing that, though. That's what I was arguing with Rand. Like, they're losing that. So okay, Rand, that's what I said. I said they're targeting 20 million, and that's the driver. And he said, yeah. I said it's 20 million. They want projections of 70 million. The math is they're not even coming close to those projections. So
What,
again,
70 million Game Pass subscribers, right?
yeah. And what did Phil say if they didn't hit set? Do you remember what he said? If they don't hit 70 million Game Pass subscribers in 2027,
I
he
thought
will
it was
be
more than
looking.
that. I thought
No,
it
it
was more than
was
that, Tim.
no,
Was
it
it
was
70 million?
seven. It was 100 million by 2030, 70
Yes.
million by 2027. He
He
said
said
if it doesn't hit those numbers, 2027, 70 million, he will think about turning off the lights.
well,
I think
he said
that's
we're going to have a different conversation. Yeah.
I
And
think that conversation's happened.
Well, I mean, look, we all I laugh because many of us heard about Amy. This is why Logic had Amy Hood's profile.
Yeah.
Amy the Hood stepped in. It was like, no, like, wait a minute, like, the the acquisition by Activision, which many of the pundits and Xbox super fans were championing.
Yes,
Yeah.
me.
Tim, I wasn't with you on that one. I
No,
couldn't
I
champion
know.
that.
We had
Yeah,
arguments with that. Yeah.
but it changed the calculus for Xbox.
Yes.
It did. I heard that I
It
don't want to say
uncovered their
who.
warts.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I don't want to say who I heard this from, but when they got a good look at the books and everything, it was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
is
That's exactly
what I
happened.
heard. Yeah.
That's 100% what happened. And
But
that
Tim,
happened in January. I mean, December of that year.
but I do big shout out to Slow Mo Backslap, who's in the live chat. I will say this. I do like, and I said this to Logic more recently, like, and this is the part that people have issues with, I think, Tim. Like, on one hand, you can appreciate the ecosystem that Microsoft's built with Game Pass, this new version of Xbox. I'm not Game Pass of Xbox. You can look at Xbox and say, you know what? They're doing something a bit different than the other big two, which I think is actually beneficial to consumers because you have three different routes you can go. You can either go, the route of Game Pass, where you don't have to necessarily maybe own an Xbox console if you don't want to, and still get those first party games. You can play those games on multiple devices. You have access to cloud, et cetera, et cetera. Or if you want a more curated high end experience with high production AAA games, strong third party developer support, strong hardware ecosystem, then you look at PlayStation. If you're looking for something a little bit light, then maybe you look at Nintendo. So, I look at those things, what Game Pass is doing and offering consumers a different path, a different choice is good for consumers, because I think more choice is always good for consumers. But I think you could say those things and appreciate what they're doing, but also be critical of some of the decisions they make. And people can't separate the two. It's like you have to be all in or you have to be all out. It's like,
they can't critically think about it.
Yeah.
And here's the problem that I like. Listen, I hear them say, "Oh, I'll be emboldened. I'll be this. Oh, I'll have this suite of. I'll have Steam and I'll have everything." This is my take on that. Unfortunately, the Xbox has always been ahead of their time, and I just don't think that the mentality of the casual is there yet. People still want a simple console. Sony delivers that, and so does Nintendo. Xbox has some, I don't even know what it just, people are just going to look at it and try to understand it. A soccer mom is going to be like, what is that? Sony or Nintendo? I just can't believe that these are the smartest people in the world in Redmond, and they just don't see the obvious. They're so tone deaf. I don't understand their projections. I don't understand how they can't be, at the point where I am and where other people outside of Xbox, whether it's like I've seen Sean Layden be critical of them, or I've seen Kotick say, get out of gaming to Satya. Like, that's the thing. And that's what I've noticed about Xbox. Within Xbox, they put up this sense of something that isn't reality, and everyone buys into it that's in the organization, and they just don't face real things. And they just have like this utopia way of thinking, and it just doesn't translate in the customer world. But when you have somebody like a Kotig, the CEO for Rockstar, he was critical of Game Pass. Layden always, has some, shots at it. It goes on and on.
Strauss Zelnick,
the
head of,
like, you're talking about major players.
Players.
They're just like, this doesn't work. It's not working.
I mean, Strauss said that, look, like, launching AAA games day and date in a subscription service doesn't make sense. Now,
Doesn't.
doing so afterwards, after it's reached that retail maturation point where you're no longer to really sell any more copies. Yeah, then it makes sense, right? You see
And it
Rockstar.
also doesn't make
Yeah.
sense when they're not the market leader. That's another thing. Like if they were the market leader or Sony tried it, maybe they can get something. But like, what is the penetration rate of people buying the games? What is it? 10%? There's 150. They always say there's 150 PlayStation 3, 4s, and they're happy if they get 10 million. Like that's 10%. So the reality is really, and this is something that Phil used to say, gamers, they only play FIFA or COD or FIFA and Minecraft. They don't play everything. So then why would you go and do Game Pass? And I'll tell you why. Because in 2017, Satya was thinking back then about shuttering down Xbox or making it some cloud thing on a dongle and really, slimming it down. And Phil at the time had Satya buy into the idea of subscription service with Game Pass, and he sold them on that. He sold them on the cloud, and then what happened is the cloud kind of fizzled out, never really hit there, and it wasn't, even Nvidia is not doing what they needed it to do, what Phil was proposing, and then Game Pass, that whole thing was looking great, and then it hit its ceiling, and the ceiling was way lower than that they thought it would be. And when they hit the ceiling in 2022 of 33 million, Phil then again got Satya to buy in and further exasperated a situation that, really wasn't good. They got Call of Duty that uncovered everything. It's been a series of, it's partially because of their leadership of Satya, not understanding what's going on and just going along. And then Phil, just because he loves Xbox, he wants to keep it going. He doesn't want it to die off. And it's been a story, really, unfortunately, since 2013. They just have reeled, and they constantly reeled since then. Then they were about to be taken down or shuttered down. Phil pumped some life into it, got some ideas going.
Yeah.
Satya's big thing, and Phil used to always say to me, he's like, all he does is talk about Mixer. He thought Mixer was going to be the big thing. How did that work out? How much money did they spend in Mixer? That's why when people say, well, they put all this money in this, and they put so much money into Mixer, and one day they just got rid of it. And that's what I fear, and that's what I'm saying is going to happen. One day you're just going to wake up and you're going to find out, just like EA sold their thing, Xbox sells for 95 million to a group in
95
Saudi
billion.
Arabia. Yeah, something like that.
Well, Tim, let me ask you a question. I was listening to Grub earlier. Grub was like, because and you and I talked about like the gaming is going to get expensive. One of the things that we see in mature markets is that the consumers often get charged more, or they figure out other ways to monetize them. And we see this with subscription services, microtransactions. We see this with PlayStation, and Nintendo. I mean, PlayStation's really good at, creating new peripherals. The Portal, the speakers are selling now. The PlayStation monitor or Sony monitors. The DualSense Edge, all that stuff, right? It's all that is deliberately done to get people to spend more money in the ecosystem. But with Xbox, and I thought this was kind of interesting. Grubb said this on a show. I forget what show it was, but he said, they're literally screaming at you, telling you not to buy our console. And I was really shocked. And I understand, look, there's inflationary, there's pressures, there's tariffs. I think some of this is maybe part of tariffs, but I also think it's them like maybe trading people, Tim. Let me get your thoughts on this. Maybe trading consumers that like, hey,
100,
look, like this thing is, if you want an Xbox, exactly. If you want an Xbox, right, it's going to cost you a premium penny because we're not going to manufacture them in large numbers and large quantities, right? And when you the one thing that you we had Falky on. Big shout out to David Faulkner, who is a financial analyst. He talked about how he thinks that the part of the reason why they increased the price too is because they're not getting the discounted rate on parts in China because they're not selling enough consoles. So you're not making out on the economies of scale, right? They're not in your favor because you're not ordering enough parts because you're not making enough consoles to sell, and therefore the manufacturer is going to charge you more, and so they're passing that cost down to the consumer. So I'm thinking, Tim, that they're probably realizing, hey, you know what? Like, we're not going to sell a lot of hardware. I'm not even sure, Tim. Let me know what you think. I don't know that they're actually going to make their own Xbox. I know they've confirmed it. They've said it. But you bring up Mixer, right? And I think about Windows Phone. And I think about the changes and pivots here at Xbox. I don't know if I believe many of the things they say.
You can't believe
and I'm wondering, like, are they really going to make an Xbox on their own, or are they going to cut bait and say, you know what, like, we're just going to leave it up to our third-party vendors to do this?
Well, I think you bring a great point of it. I don't know how deep they are in the contract with AMD. They might be in something that they can't get out of. If that's the case, I mean, I think that they might be doing something because they came out that day with Sarah. So I think that day is the day that they signed AMD. But can they walk away from that and just give, a settlement payment to AMD? Of course they can. They could work it out. I don't, I mean, it is binding, but again, if they say, hey, you don't, we're just going to give you, we need to get out of this. There's a bunch of ways they can go about this. But if they do it, how many chips did they buy? So we know this. It's going to be very expensive. We also know it's going to be more expensive than the PlayStation 6. We also know that they're not going after the same market. They're going after the big spenders in the ecosystem. Originally, I was saying 20 to 30. Me and Randall were both agreeing on that. I'm at like 2 to 5 now. I don't, and then maybe handle the rest. They may be contracted maybe 15 million in total with OEM. And what I'm told is that it's just basically a chip that can span all devices, that can play all Xbox games. It has BC built into it. It's really nothing special. Secret sauce, all that fun stuff. That's going to be PlayStation 6. Again, this is why I come to that conclusion. Can they make it attractive enough to an investor? I think absolutely, because even though the Xbox brand has been butchered and it's in a bad spot right now, it once was a household name that was in 100 million households. So these investors, they like what they're doing, like with EA. I mean, I don't really want to get into that because it's long, and this is we're getting towards the end. But what they do is what EA doesn't have the heart to do. Basically, they just gut the whole thing, and maybe they just come to a deal with somebody and then just say, "Hey, just gut it. You're going to do it," or they do gut it themselves and they handle all it up front and they make it attractive in a bundle where they can say, "Hey, this is the, Activision, Bethesda." There's many ways that they can do this, but it all signals to me as an exit strategy. And to be quite frank, if you really look at the situation, an exit strategy is probably the best course for them, because they're just going on with something that's not working. It's been complete frustration, and I mean, I think Satya has really gave it a chance, but I just think that they should be on an exit strategy, and I kind of feel like they are, and that's why you're seeing all this weird stuff. If they were really, in a spot where they were in a positive way, I think that you would not see any of this. What's going on? I just think that you are in the midst right now of some type of strategy to get out, and it could happen if they come to a deal with one of these groups. They have a lot of money, and it's nice enough where they can just get out and they could just throw that money into AI. And even though it's a loss in about a year, it'll be a big money, because if they sell it for, like, let's say they got 95 billion, which is low, but let's just say that they did. Okay, if EA's in 55 billion, let's just say they got 95. They take that 95 billion, they throw it into AI. In 2 years, that's 2.5. Who knows? But it's not. It's gonna. The money that they get on that is gonna far exceed trying to have studios, trying to have all this stuff where they just don't have popularity. They don't have the name. They don't have. They don't have the people there in the spots that can facilitate that. So hey, yeah, they'll take a shot up front. They'll lose the headache, and then they'll just invest it in something that's going to far greater make money than they have with all this overhead. It just makes sense for them to get out. And I mean, there has to be somebody with this logic. I mean, listen, we had Logic. You could see how smart it is. You could tell he's on the same kind of like page as I am. And the people that I talked to that were and people in the industry that were kind of like the top level, they're like, yeah, that's the only way you can go with this. I mean, and the thing is that you have fans and it's sad
Yeah.
because they don't want to face that reality. They want to rather say it's a curse or Tim Dog's crashing out. He's just looking to make, he's trying to just rekindle his popularity or once popularity as it has been. All these personal shots, it's just deflection. They just don't want to face it. But I'm at the point where I'm just facing it logically. It doesn't make sense for them to just keep this going. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
And
Big shout out to
I think I've
yeah.
outlined it very concisely too.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I'm going to give a big shout out. You have, Tim. Thank you. And a big shout out to Slumos. Keep me honest here. Microsoft renewed their partnership with AMD back in June. They did, actually they did confirm that there was they're working on the next Xbox together.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. They are. And I know I said that. I don't know if they'll release another one. I say that, Slummo, because of I just feel like there's been so many pivots.
Why? Yeah. Why would you
but
do it?
more than likely, I think you're probably right, though, Slimo. Like, and I don't think they'll pivot from that. But I do think, though, in terms of them actually making a console, B Money try to tell you. B Money's been telling us for a long time now. I think that at some point they're not going to. I think the writing's on the wall. I don't think they're gonna make.
Gonna end? Do you think? Do you think?
Yeah,
that
I think after this one, it probably ends. It'll be
Oh, that's
more like
for sure.
I think like
What
Logic's
I'm
talking about, like
saying is,
yeah.
that's for sure happening. But what I'm saying is that they might just get out of this hole. Like they just might, like I said, this exit strategy at this point.
You think they're just gonna be like, after
Or
we're
like
done.
in 2 years, 3 years, they release that console, they get it out there. It's not a big deal. It just releases. Or and Slow Mo is right. They are legally binded to have a contract. But if you come to AMD and you say, "Listen, we'll pay this, we'll get rid of it," and then or they just go ahead with it, and then whoever they're selling it to, and buying it at a discounted rate, can make it work. They'll do that. But in my opinion, this screams exit strategy for them. It's
Wait,
just,
so Slow-Mo. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Phil, Tim.
no, I'm
I
just
almost called
saying.
you
It just
Phil.
screams. No, it just screams. The only logical thing for me, or if I'm really looking at it, and I said, and I was one of the people, like, why would you do a console? And I think probably once again they have second thoughts now, or they're like I mean, I don't know how you could be positive in their position. I don't know how you could be positive. I really don't.
Well, I mean, it's Slow-Mo saying, to be clear, the next Xbox is basically going to be a small form factor PC. Slow-Mo, by the way, we miss having you on BRAP and Forte and B Money. But he says, to be clear, the next Xbox is basically going to be a small form factor PC, will likely be made by a third party, the way the handhelds made by Asus. I actually brought this up 2 weeks ago, Slow-Mo. I said, is the Asus NUC the preview of what the next Xbox is? It's this console form factor PC. The other thing too, I'm thinking about, Tim, is, I think at some point, I think the hardware's done. I think again, they'll come out, like, to Slow-Mo's point, probably we'll come out with a first party or a Microsoft developed Xbox hardware. I don't think they're going to manufacture it in high numbers. I think it's going to be
No.
Probably more expensive. I think that's why they're setting the price point higher than the competitors. I think that that Xbox, look, it's no longer just a console; it's a service now, and I think that's being a service, though, Tim. I think fits into Microsoft's, broader
Their
strategies as
mindset.
a
Yeah.
company. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're a software as a service. Although now they're pushing towards AI, and that begs the question:
Yes.
now, are they having buyer's remorse on Activision Blizzard King
Oh,
when they could have used that money
100%.
to invest in AI? I've heard some rumblings that investors are not happy about that investment of ABK and felt like that could have been money better spent in investing in
Of
AI. And maybe
course.
Microsoft has fallen back a little bit in the AI race, the AI arms race, as I like to refer to it as,
Yes.
because they didn't invest that money into a business that probably could have been, in the eyes of some investors, more profitable, more uh,
100%.
more profitable endeavor
But
for them to pursue.
if you remember, not to interrupt, but if you remember, that was like their overseas money. That was their piggy bank money. As big as it was money that they had. It was overseas money that they basically had free money to spend. But 100%. That they have buyer's remorse, and I don't know. Again, I just don't think Satya is the guy that he's in charge, and he's a major problem because he doesn't understand gaming, and
But Tim,
it's just an afterthought with that
but Tim,
him.
but here's the thing: you say afterthought, right? The Xbox business is such a small speck, such a
Right.
small percentage of the Microsoft business, and it's like at some point, maybe you ask yourself, is it worth the headache? Like, is
Exactly.
it
I don't think
like
so.
we're spending all this
I
money?
just
Like,
think you cut ties, or what is it? You cut your losses.
yeah,
I
you
think
cut your
it's
losses. It's
I
like
think it's at that point,
maybe
especially after today.
like the Mets need to cut ties with Juan Soto. I don't
Oh
know.
God! Oh God!
No, but I mean, like if
Oh, Jesus.
it's such a small revenue cog for Microsoft. And if you compare that in contrast to, and I remember I had this big shout to OBM. I had a conversation with OBM about a year ago. I said, OBM, I said, because I remember he was, we were talking about Game Pass, and again, Tim, like you, I was like, something just doesn't seem right, OBM. He's like,
Yeah.
well, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I gotta be honest with you, for me at least, it just seems like Nintendo and Sony, because Nintendo, I mean, they're solely reliant on their gaming business.
Right.
Sony, PlayStation accounts for over a third of PlayStation revenue.
Of
Um,
course.
so I mean, who's got more skin in the game? And that was my
One
point
hundred
to
percent.
OBM.
Yes.
Like, and so, who, I mean, so I guess my point is this, that I wonder at some point, into some of the things you're saying, Tim, does Satya say, you know what, guys, we've invested a lot of money and this thing's only, you know, single digits, or I don't know. I don't know what the actual
Whatever.
percentage
It's
of
just
revenue is.
right.
Let's say maybe low double digits, high single digits in revenue percentage. Do we really need this headache? Is it really part of the ethos of our
Right.
company? Is it part of our broader strategy? Like those
I've
are
heard that. I've heard rumblings that he thinks it's. Yeah, I heard rumblings he's growing. I've heard that's becoming a headache. I mean, listen, if this is not a headache for what today happened, I don't know what is. I mean, again, it's a spec, and it's like somebody told me, another executive. He said they're not going to let the Xbox drag down its core business. So if it even attempts to be affecting the real money makers, they'll just throw that thing out in the garbage and throw it on fire. So, I mean, I think we really covered this very well. I think what we're saying is obviously our opinions. I feel very strongly about mine, but doesn't mean that something can happen for them to where it starts to work itself out. But I just feel like this has just been an ongoing constant hit after hit and the negative hits that they've taken, that it's just fruitless, like, who knows? Maybe they can get, I suppose, the Halo news coming up. I don't know. But I try to be positive, and I'm generally a very optimistic person. But I just can't find the optimism here. I just, the optimism would be just cut your losses and take that money and invest it in AI, and you're guaranteed to make a much better profit margin, and you make your money much faster back. 100% they have buyer's remorse, and part of that is like, when they got it all done, they uncovered everything, and then they really learned what was going on. I don't know why they didn't do that beforehand or what happened there, but again, when your skin's not in the game, like you're saying, you don't tend to care. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't care as much. And
And
that's been the thing that plagues Xbox, is it's something that they don't care as much as you should. And
and
when that's your bread and butter, and it's not, it's a big issue.
I think it's telling when Mike Ibarra comes out, former Xbox employee. And no, he's not disgruntled. Everyone's like, oh, he's just disgruntled. No, he's not disgruntled. Mike Ibarra, and for what I've heard, Tim, Mike was not on board with the direction that Phil Spencer wanted to take Xbox. That is my understanding.
No. Mike was actually the guy that Phil was considering doing a 50, like a 99 or a $59 Xbox doggle, and Mike Ibarra and Mike Nichols were talked him out of it. But obviously he was getting pressure from Satya. The problem what happened with Mike is that he was critical of certain people, Bonnie, and he was critical of Sarah, that basically they didn't know what they were doing. And quite frankly, because she was a woman and Phil is very pro woman, it became a political thing. And they basically fired Mike, from that's, what I can gather and from what I've heard. And does Mike feel a certain way? Probably. But Mike's thing is that Mike wanted to, it wasn't anything where it was a woman. It was more of, hey, I want to win here. I have that mentality. I'm based in reality, and we're sucking right now. Halo sucks. He wanted Halo to go, he wanted Halo Master Chief to go super dark. He wanted Master Chief to be, go super dark, go on the bad side, and he thought that would be a huge thing. And
I've
he
been
was
saying that for
telling me,
years.
you listen, he told me, and he was right. He said they're effing up Halo, and he was 100% right. Um, so it wasn't like, so he was critical of Bonnie, of the handling of it, but it was because, yeah, he wanted the story to go a different route. He wanted him to be a badass villain and go dark. And he just felt like it was more of the same and whatever. So he said, okay, Halo sucking, which it was. It wasn't the same thing, and he was right. And he would speak out on stuff like that. And he spoke out on like stuff like Sarah, because Sarah was a T-Mobile exec that didn't know anything about video games. She was notably at a place where they were playing video game events, and she didn't know where the A button was on the controller, and she, like, people were like laughing. But the thing about Mike, and this is why he rubbed a lot of people wrong, he always said two things. He said, one of the things that he really emphasized: get the hell out of the business if you aren't a gamer. So if you weren't a gamer and you didn't play games and you weren't about the culture, he wanted no part of you. And that's why he had friction with a lot of people, because, as you know, a lot of adults don't play video games. It's just the fact. And he was strong willed, and he was strong minded on those subjects. and it was nothing more than that. But the reality is that they kind of pushed him out because of that. And you know, he listen, he just made a windfall of money. Mike's the type of guy that when he wants things to do well, he rubs people the wrong way because he's in that position where he wants to, like not comparing him to Steve Jobs, but everyone hated Steve Jobs. It is because Steve wanted to win and he was all about it. Well, Mike's like that too. Maybe not on that level because Steve is a legend and he's just an iconic guy. But he did Apple. But yeah, when you're that mentality, it you're not going to make people who are just for the ride or just for the whole, they're there for their paycheck and they worry, this was Mike's life and he didn't have that same type of people around him at Xbox, and he was very vocal about it.
Yeah, before I introduce BRAP panel member Slow-Mo Backslap, want to get a super chat real quick. T-Rock 40 with the $2 super chat says, BRAP exactly, look at Oracle. And then T-Rock with the second $2 super chat says, Master Cheeks. Yes, I do remember Master Cheeks from the Halo show. Slow-Mo, I just want to say welcome back to BRAP, sir. You have certainly been missed. Great to see you. How are you this evening?
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
You're loud and clear.
You guys can hear
Our,
me.
and our defense has a problem.
Oh, I don't even talk about the Commanders right now. I don't want to.
Why, they lost?
I mean, it's already. Oh, but they lost to Atlanta last Sunday. It wasn't pretty.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. But no, I kind of just want to come in and just drop my 2 cents. I think it's pretty obvious that Microsoft is trying to break up with the Xbox gamer. Like you ever heard of like a guy, and maybe some people in the audience, or maybe some of you guys have done this before, but like you're not quite, you don't really have it in you to do the breakup yourself, so you just act like an asshole, and then the girl eventually breaks up with you.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, because it's like they'll stay in a relationship, but they're gonna be a dick, and they're gonna treat you like trash and treat you definitely not how you need to be or deserve to be treated. And if you stick around and take that, fine. But what they really want for you is just go. Break up. Oh, like I'm not taking this anymore. I'm leaving.
So you sound like you've done this a lot in your life. I'm just throwing that out.
I mean,
there.
I've seen this done a lot. I haven't done it personally. I mean, I know I have friends who have, but I'm just saying that's essentially what they're doing here. They've raised the price. Like the 2 terabyte Xbox Series X, which is a 5-year-old piece of technology, is $800.
It's crazy.
Okay. Like no one reasonably is going to buy that.
Can you say that again?
That's crazy.
What? A 2 terabyte 5-year-old piece of hardware is $800.
Gee, when you say like that, Slow-Mo, 5-year-old 2 terabyte piece of hardware, $800. I'm like, damn. Like they don't like Rupp said, they're screaming in your face that they don't want you to buy this thing.
And Jeff is right, because when their marketing says no console, no problem, when they're pushing a incomplete, not ready for prime time app on your smart TV, when Sarah is pushing hard to get an app on iOS on the App Store, everything that they're pushing for has nothing to do with the current hardware that's out. They switched the way they do distribution of the Xbox Series X and S from a traditional model of stocking a lot of inventory to make sure that you can deliver to the retailers in a timely manner to just in time. What just in time means is that we're going to make you make the order and we'll go make them. Because basically, when we've been making them, they've been sitting and collecting dust, and we've been wasting money because people aren't buying them. So they had to switch to a different model in order to take care of that. And so when you're doing all these different things, when you're doing double-digit negative percentages year over year, over year. So like the last year numbers were double-digit percentages down from the previous year, and now
Yeah.
you're still double digits down. No one's buying your hardware, and so now
True.
what they've pivoted to is, well, you think of Xbox as a console, but that's not what it really is. Xbox is an ecosystem. It's a platform. It's your cell phone. It's your PC. It's your handheld. It's your MSI Claw. It's your ROG Ally. It's even your PlayStation, because we got games over there now. They want you to think of Xbox not as the console, because they want you to no longer think about that console, because they don't want to make it anymore. Now, if you're going, they can't do what they did with the original Xbox, which is they just stopped making them. Just hard cut, and then they went to the 360. People didn't like that. So what they're doing now is they price it to a point where we really don't want to make these, but we're not going to subsidize the cost anymore. So if you really want to spend this price for it, we'll make you one then. You know, like that's when they'll decide to actually do that. And if they bring it to Game Pass, they don't want to give you day and date in Game Pass anymore.
Yeah.
That's why they took it off all the tiers and just made it on Ultimate. And then they took Ultimate from $20 a month to $30 a month. So if you're going to get day and date for their games, you're going to make it worth their while. $30 a month, you're willing to pay that? Bet. Also, next year, we're going to raise that price again. We're going to keep raising that price. Because
$35
I would much
yeah.
rather you buy the game than you play it through the subscription service where people are basically subscribing for a month, playing, enjoying the game, and then unsubbing. They know what y'all doing, so they're like, okay. Or you're like these guys that shout from the rooftops about Game Pass. Game Pass is the best value in gaming.
Well,
Game
is
Pass
it?
is great.
Slomo, is it?
Hold on.
Not
But
anymore.
then when you ask them, when you ask them what their subscription setup is on their account, oh yeah, I went and got grandfathered in from my other subscription, and I got it for 3 years, and then I went and stacked it on the cheap off the cheap on CD keys, and now I got it to like 2030. You're the part of the reason why they're doing this, because they're not getting any money out of you. So now, even though you say it's the best value in gaming and you're bragging about how much money they made last year, now they're still raising the price on you. So when it really comes down to is they don't want to do that no more. They want you to just buy their games, because they see what happens when they put their games over on PlayStation. They in the top 10 every month.
Yeah, they chart. That's a great point, Slomo.
That's a good point.
So instead of you saying, "Oh, I got Game Pass," they want to say, "No, you wouldn't go big. You go and buy that $70, $80, hopefully, probably $80." They tried that way out of the worlds too, and everyone was like, "Wait a minute, it's not even a AAA game," and they were like, "All right, you're right. Let's drop that down to $70." But they want you to buy that. They don't want you to sub to it, and that's just. They will continue to do this. They will continue to do things. They knew what this backlash was going to be. They knew ahead of time. They ain't stupid.
They know GameStop would troll them, Slomo.
Well, I mean, they're dumb when it comes to marketing. So they knew that the gamer backlash would be, "Are you crazy?" But they don't care if you unsub, because they want you to buy the games instead of getting that game in that subscription service. And then also, well, I'm unsubbing. And I'm like, all right, well, you already paid me up front for the year or whatever, or up to 2027. So, I mean, you unsubbing now don't really change anything. It's just, it is what it is.
It's true.
They're at a point now where they're not subsidizing anything. They're not playing around with you with kitty gloves no more. They don't care if you feel they're anti-consumer. They try to get paid. There's different people in charge.
That's a great point.
Tim Stewart and Amy Hood don't give a damn how Xbox gamers feel.
Yeah, I think that is 100% true. And it's just I'm gonna leave now because I gotta go to sleep. But you bring up the point that they want you to buy their game. and I do think that there is truth to that. But you could see, and remember when people said that like Game Pass gamers or Xbox Game Pass, like they were conditioned to wait for the game and not buy the game, wait for the subscription, and at one time it was ridiculously favorable to the consumer. Yeah, like now it's like they're trying to maybe condition you back to actually say, hey, you could have it, but you're going to buy this Game Pass and it's going to be a lot of money, or hey, you could always buy the game, but at the end of the day, for me, and I'm going to close with this. This signaling and all this stuff and going back and forth and all this kind of like unrest, it's just taken too much of a toll that I don't even know like how they can even start to get some type of momentum. I just feel like that momentum is cut, and I really don't know. I don't know what they can do to get like the only thing that I could think that could kind of get them going is like if their games are like The Last of Us 2 and they hit off games like that, but you kind of know what you got. Like Call of Duty is going to be just Call of Duty. It's not going to wow you. It's going to be what you expect, and the studio side of it. I don't know what do they have slated? Fable. Hopefully that hits it out of the ballpark. I think it'll be good. I don't know if it's going to just move any needle.
You mean next
Stated
year?
what?
You mean are you asking what do they have for next year?
Yeah, what do they have in next year? State of Decay
Yeah,
3?
Fable, Forza Horizon 6,
That's
Gears
a
of War
good
E
game.
Day, Clockwork Revolution.
That's
Those are the only four I could think of right now. But I mean
well,
that's
that's
a
pretty
pretty
big.
decent good
Yeah,
numbers. That's pretty some good numbers for a
yeah.
year.
So maybe that's
But
what
you
they
know,
want. Is that they
it's gonna
just
be
want you to?
$80 for all four of
Yeah, yeah.
those.
So it's like I don't know. It really is. It's time for the Xbox gamer or the Xbox real fanboy or the fan to realize what you said is like they're no longer being wined and dined. They're basically told you're going Dutch now, and if you don't like it, I don't know, go to PlayStation because you still buy our game. You still
Right.
whatever. So it is a crazy situation, and it's still developing. Today was just absolutely bananas. But like you said, I mean, they must have known this was coming, and for the fact that they haven't addressed it, it doesn't look like it's going to get addressed. That just speaks more volumes that yeah, that this is where this is going, and this should no longer be a surprise to anybody. This is kind of like major signaling that this is what it's going to be. So the days of like arguing about PlayStation, Xbox, and console wars, we're like, that's a year removed. This is like a new thing.
Yeah.
This is a new thing we're entering, and let's just see how much these games are going to be, and how much the market changes with GTA hitting, and yeah, this is like I said, I still kind of think that Xbox, if they can exit out of this thing, they're gonna. So that's how I'm gonna close. It was a pleasure. Very good commentary by you, Slow, by BRAP,
Oh, no problem,
excellent,
bro.
and Logic really with the Game Pass stuff was, and the way they financially broke it down, very, very educational. And I would love to hear from him again. But great show, and I think that anybody listening, this is a really good show. This is what I think the podcasts have to be now. We really got to start to critically think as fans and speak about real things. It's no longer the bullshit that we've been going on with you for years. That's played itself out. So anybody that's still attached to them, they're just stuck in the past. This is like the new stuff that we got to really talk about, like have these conversations, because that's where it's at. Like and we've all learned. I think just by this podcast, like I think anybody listening really, we're thinking critically. And I keep saying that, but it's really the truth. We really got to start to think differently about the industry. And, it's going to cost us more money. It sucks, but maybe that's something that needs to happen to kind of get this industry to a point where it's not falling down. Like it's still falling down. There's, Avalanche just closed or studio, and the EA was, at $20 billion in debt. I think they had. I'm sure they were bought by 55 billion, but that's just because that Saudi Arabian group is buku money. So this is all changing, but we still love it. And it's great conversations tonight. And I will be back for the next when the next bomb hits.
Well, Tim, it's always a pleasure having you on. We definitely need to have you on again soon. Even if the next bomb doesn't hit, it'd be great to have you back.
Well, don't worry, the next bomb's coming. It's coming.
Oh yes,
Oh,
it's
What
bombs over Baghdad over here, man. It's gonna just keep coming.
today was a
oh man.
freaking. Today was a. I don't even. It was maybe a nuke. It could possibly be a nuke. I don't know.
Oh
But
man. Well, I get the feeling there's someone I need to reach out to then who's probably gonna tell me the same thing that you just
reach
said,
out
Tim.
and find out, because I
Yeah.
wish Xbox would talk, but we know that that's not happening.
Yeah.
They're going into
Well,
bunker mode. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I heard that some news was going to come today. I didn't know what it was, but I heard that something was going to happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, so here we are.
I
But
thought I thought it would be bad. I just think that it was. I maybe that this has been pretty. I got to look at the analytics, but the analytics were crazy today.
yeah, I remember you saying
hundred
that earlier.
thousand
Yeah.
dollar tweet, 100,000 like tweets. GameStop going in like never before. I
They went it
wonder.
twice.
I know. I know. It
Yeah,
Yeah.
was
they went
pretty
it twice.
funny. Some of the stuff was funny, but honestly, some of it was kind of like it's kind of sad, because it's like this is really signaling that a time is over for sure. The days of the joking around, the console wars, those is days. It's just they're not competitors anymore. Sony's on a different trajectory, and so is Xbox. So it's boring to me.
Yeah, different trajectories. That's a great point. And it doesn't mean that I think a lot of people spend a lot of time arguing who's got the better business model. The model that these companies have is the model that works for them, right? We
Yeah.
should be actually excited that there's potentially three different or three slightly different business models
Yes.
that consumers can choose to, participate in, and that's actually a good thing. More
Yeah.
choice.
Doesn't have to be. They don't have to be. What's the word? Bind to each other. They all could be individual. That's what people. That's what people I think are missing here. It's not. Everyone
Yeah,
wants to draw a console war out of it, or they want to draw some type of comparison. Like it's not like that anymore. This is completely different. They all could be exclusive to themselves. They're not tied in like it used to be. It used to be very simple. Now it's much, much more elaborate. It's much deeper, and it's again like these type of podcasts break it down, and that's what was great about tonight. Was like we really broke it down. So anybody listening that's paying attention, that doesn't have some stupid bullshit like, hey, this is a console war. That's that mentality is like, honestly, it's at this point it should just be looked at and like, they're like, dude, get over it. Like, we're like on to different things. This is now
hmm
it's a new thing, and it really is, and the pricing alone signifies that. And we'll have this conversation, I'm sure, when GTA 6, because that's going to be a major conversation. Let's just hope it's 100. That's all I can say, because
yeah.
they could do some crazy shit like split it and make it 140, 120, 120 package. But good night, guys. I am going to sleep.
All right, Tim.
Take care,
Thank you for
bro.
All
stopping
right.
by again, man.
Great
Appreciate it.
job.
Talk soon. Thank
All
you.
right. Take care.
All right, Tim. That is
Later.
Tim Dog, the OG Xbox Insider. And I want to pay the bills here. We have Drew Cowhill with the $3 super chat says slow-mo backslap is preaching. Well said. There you go, slow-mo. He's giving you some flowers, sir.
I appreciate that.
We also have who else here? The gaming ledger with the $5 Canadian says the Xbox AMD deal isn't solely about console hardware. It's a partnership bringing Quick Resume and other Microsoft Windows features to AMD's new chips. Thank you for that super chat. Slim, I was going to ask you a question and now I forgot.
Well, while you're thinking about that, I just want to say that next year is going to be really interesting in gaming overall. There's GTA 6, which is going to be like probably the biggest thing that's going to release this generation, right? It's going to be the biggest thing software-wise because it's like a game that took over a decade to develop, and they're probably going to make all the money back that they spent making that game in like a week. It's going to be insane. It's going to break all kinds of records, and it's going to sell a lot of hardware because roughly on PlayStation and Xbox, half of their concurrent player base is still on last generation. All those people who are still on last generation are the kind of gamers that just don't care about having the latest and greatest. They just care that the game that they play is available. And when GTA is a current gen game, they're going to be like, well, I guess I got to buy a new piece of hardware to play that. We're going to see some of that this year because EA Sports is no longer really being supported by last gen. I don't know if it's all of them. I know definitely some of them are. Next year, Call of Duty will be on current gen only. So will 2K. So NBA 2K, that is. So when you kind of seeing how these numbers are going to be going, we're going to start seeing a boost in hardware. We can see that based off of just being gamers who are interested in the medium in the industry. And we can see that without any data that will show us that. They have the data. They know that. And this is what they're still doing. They're still raising prices to an unreasonable degree. And they're still not really mass producing the hardware to have it distributed to retailers in high numbers. And it's mostly because they don't really care for getting people to buy it that way. They care about the software. They're a software company. And so what they really care about is you buying the games and generating that revenue off of buying the games. Like the games I listed, the 4 games I listed that are coming out next year, they expect those to be strong. Even though, I mean, they also expected more from Redfall. So, their expectations, like some of these guys aren't exactly the very best when it comes to understanding what gamers want, because a lot of them aren't gamers. As you know, as Tim said, that Mike Ybarra says, they're not gamers. And so they don't really have a gamer mentality. They just kind of look at like, oh, big game, we spent this much on it, we getting this much like in the statistics of hype for it. It should probably do well, right? This is going to do well. What are they saying? They like it? Bet, cool. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of how they're thinking. I didn't even mention the next Call of Duty next year, which is going to be another one of their games. And so what they really care about is when Fable comes out, you spend $80 on Fable instead of you spending at the time what it would have been if it came out this year, $20 on Fable. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. Maybe you play it for longer than a month, maybe you don't. But more than likely, they think you're just going to sub for $20, then unsub after you maybe played it for a little while and quit on it, or you beat it within the month and then you uninstalled it as you unsub from that Game Pass subscription. So what how much really are they making off of that? Not enough to justify how long it's been in development with Playground Games. So really, I mean, I guess I'll go ahead and say this. In July, I knew they were raising the price of Game Pass. I was told this by someone that works there. I was also told this last year around the same time period, and they raised the price of Game Pass right around the same time period, right before what happens, the Call of Duty beta. So they raised the price of Game Pass right before the Call of Duty beta. They've raised the price of Game Pass again When does the Call of Duty beta start, Enrique?
Soon, very soon.
Tomorrow.
Oh, is it tomorrow? I thought it was next week.
It's tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Into the 5th.
So wait, slow-mo. So they did this last year.
Yeah.
And they did it. Oh my goodness. And you know what's interesting?
So this is their plan to keep raising the price and then capturing the audience that will sub to it in order to get access to certain kinds of things. Because the only way you can play that Call of Duty beta is if you pre-order the game or you have Game Pass Ultimate.
That's right.
So they're doing it again.
I mean, it why wouldn't you do it though? Like if you're a corporation, you're in the business of making money, you own one of the most valuable, popular IPs in gaming that's tied to your subscription service. Yeah, I get it. I'm not now. Before people say, "Oh, you're just you want to charge us more." No, I'm not.
Arcade in the chat said they were going to do this to us anyway. Absolutely, this was in the cards before they did all the layoffs they just did. What was that in August, or was that late July?
Late July. Yeah,
this was This was in the cards before then. But what was shocking to me is that the numbers were higher because this was supposed to be like $25.
Woo. Mm-mm.
But it's 30. So it's just they don't care. They don't care if you're upset. Again, they just like if you unsub, if the content is worth it and people are going to play it, if you're going to engage in it regardless of whether you're subscribed to Game Pass or not, we'll make it worth our while by making it $30 a month. But if you don't get it that way, go ahead and buy the game at $70 currently right now. But next year, the stuff is like $80. Even better. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if part of the reason why Forza Horizon 6 is being a staggered release on PlayStation, because they saw when they dropped Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation, they saw an uptick in sales of Forza Horizon 5 on PC and Xbox. So if they drop it on Xbox first and PC, and it's a popular racer, so it does what it does, gets a bunch of millions of people in there. Then they drop it on PlayStation later, and then PlayStation players are playing it. And then maybe they got some friends who don't have a PlayStation. They're on PC. They're on other platforms, and they want to play it with their friends. Then you also got people who are like, oh, Billy on PlayStation's getting Forza Horizon 6. I'm going to go play that with him. I ain't played initially on Xbox, but I'm going to play it with him now. They see another spike in sales, and they just go, all right, well, cool. I mean, Sony does the same thing with PC. Ghost of Yotake just dropped. They got the sales for that. And then a year from now, or a year and a half from now, they're going to drop it on PC, and they're going to get some sales from that too. And when it goes to PC, they see a spike of its sales on PlayStation as well. So it's a system. But yeah, man,
yeah.
It's a interesting.
That's a very interesting. I even think about the Call of Duty thing. That's so the timing of this. I don't think it's coincidence. To your point, like it's planned, right? It's
planned.
It's the beta drops tomorrow. $30 price increase, right?
Yeah. That stuff is set in stone. The pricing can fluctuate, like how much they're going to gouge you.
Yeah, how much? Yeah. Fluctuate.
But this clearly was just like, yeah, we don't care. Like they're on the we don't care how you feel about it. You can hurry up and buy, or you can go.
That's great. Yeah, exactly.
Energy. Yeah.
Let me grab this super chat. Cyber21, the $5 super chat says, great show, BRAP. Thank you. Slow-mo, you brought up Ghost of Yotake, comes out tomorrow. Actually releases in 35 minutes.
Oh man.
No, and I'm not staying up to play it because that's midnight. I'm not doing that. I will be playing it this weekend. Are you picking it up, Slow-mo?
Eventually, when it comes to sequels, I always like to replay through the first game first, so I can kind of, because I'm old and I forget stuff, and even though I know this is a different story with a different protagonist, I still kind of want to like go through the previous game first before I go into the next one. And so I beat it on PlayStation 5 back when it PlayStation 4, and then I replayed it again on PlayStation 5 and beat it again. So I beat it twice already. I owned it on PC and started it, but never finished it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish it on PC. Then I'm gonna get Ghost of Yotei. But I got a lot of games to play. I'm playing Final Fantasy Tactics, the Avalanche Chronicles. I'm still playing Borderlands 4. I'm like maxing out all the characters and playing around with different builds. There's a lot to play. And so then there's a Call of Duty beta tomorrow. I'm gonna jump in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting that. I am downgrading my Game Pass Ultimate subscription to PC Game Pass, which they playing with fire there. Because you see what they did with PC Game Pass. Game Pass was like $11 a month. They increased it to like $16 and some change now. And they didn't actually give PC gamers anything. In fact, what they took away from PC gamers, because with PC Game Pass, you had access to cloud gaming.
Oh, you don't have that now?
You don't have that now. So they actually took away cloud gaming away from PC gamers.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's right.
I don't think PC gamers care, which is probably the reason why they did it, because when you have access to GeForce
there's principalities in this slow-mo.
Yeah, but exactly. You're still taking value away by increasing the price like $4 or $5. Like typically, this is the kind of stuff that makes PC gamers gang together and make an example out of you. Which who knows how that goes? Because we saw the website crashing with the number of people trying to unsubscribe. We gotta see how this shakes out with them and their numbers when it's all said and done. But it will be interesting to see how PC gamers react to that. Because they were making like some momentum slowly with PC Game Pass on PC in the PC ecosystem. And these kind of things, like it just takes one slip up to irritate PC gamers and them try to basically make an example out of you. And the difference between them doing that and say like console gamer communities doing it is that they get loud and they say, well, we're going to boycott this game. We're boycotting, damn it. And then they don't do anything. They just buy the game and they shut up. They're just loud for no reason, which is why it doesn't get respected and the companies just do whatever they want to do anyway.
Yeah, PC doesn't play that.
Yeah, they don't play that.
No,
they say they ain't buying you. Like when they didn't like what Epic Game Store did. Epic Game Store gives 2 free games a week. There's nothing wrong with Epic Game Store, but they didn't like the fact that they were locking down games exclusively and it wasn't on Steam. Okay, we make an example out of you. We don't buy no games over there. And no, they don't buy any games on Epic Game Store. It's pretty messed up. Even though it would be to their own benefit, because they're cheaper.
Yeah,
and also
absolutely.
It's the games available there. Like literally I've seen PC gamers pretend like a game that launched exclusively for a time period on Epic Game Store before going to Steam never released. And then they make a joke out of it when it finally releases on Steam. They say, oh, that game just launched. So yeah, I think they're playing with fire. We'll because I know they care about keeping momentum up with the PC community. Because a lot of what they're doing going forward is going to be really PC related. Like when I was in the chat, I mentioned their partnership with AMD. They're talking about making custom APUs designed with Microsoft and AMD, likely using UDNA or RDNA 5, whatever the heck they want to call it, in the APUs with like NPUs for AI. Like they want to have something that essentially they may not make the hardware, but if it's like Lenovo making it or Asus making it or whoever the heck else is making it is using the same chip, or the same at least the same chip architecture. And so there's a baseline level of performance that they can like expect from it, as well as them trying to tailor the UI to make it feel like a console-like experience. But it's not, because it's really a PC. This is why, like, when developers were talking to like, hey, like, where's the dev kits for this Xbox ROG Ally X? And they said there are no dev kits because it's a PC. Just make it like you have the game development kit for DirectX 12 Ultimate. That's what you use because it's a PC. It's a Windows PC. So yeah, man.
Well,
So
that no slow. Yeah, go ahead.
You're getting Yote this weekend.
I'm getting Yote. I'll pick it up tomorrow. Probably we'll get to play until this weekend.
Are you jumping in the beta? You jumping in Call of Duty beta?
Nah, I don't have time for that, man. Like my weekends are so. I mean, I'm doing sports all weekend. My youngest is playing football. My second oldest is playing travel baseball. My daughter does sports, so it's like I don't have time, man.
Yeah, I feel you.
I mean, football's crazy for like he's 7 years old. They got practice 3 times a week in a game at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
A full-time job or something, man.
Travel baseball is expensive. I spent, travel baseball alone as much as I would have spent on a 5090 GPU.
$2,000 at least minimum.
I've spent more than that on travel baseball so far.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Family before any of this other stuff. So you gotta do what you gotta do.
I mean, look, it's make an investment and my son, and hopefully, we'll see where it goes. So, but anyhow, but no, Slow-Mo, man. It was great to have you on, BRAP, sir. We missed you. Glad you could jump on for a little bit. Always a pleasure. Really appreciate the time. Love that you're love when you say bet, by the way, because only people from the DMV know what that means.
Right.
Seriously, like, no, like, so like when you say that, I'm like, yeah, bet. Like my mom, I say it too. Like I'm agreeing. I'm like, yeah, bet.
Can't help myself. I can't help myself, man.
No worries, man. But I am worried about the commander, sir. We don't have to talk about that now, but I'm a little worried.
I think Jayden's back this weekend. I think they'll look better. But it's really not the offense that's the problem. It's the defense.
The defense is the problem.
Big, slow, and old and slow.
We got a 50-year-old playing middle linebacker. Like, I mean, hey, like, okay.
Yeah, like let's have 35-year-old, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but I can say it real quick. 35-year-old Bobby Wagner covering one of the best running backs in the league. Make it make sense. Yeah.
Why would you do? Yeah, exactly. Makes no sense. But Slow-Mo,
I'm getting that. I was just going to do the outro real quick. Slow-Mo Backslap DPS podcast on
tomorrow.
The DPS gaming channel tomorrow with Gaming Forte, who was supposed to be streaming Death Stranding today, but he's going to make the excuse that I didn't make the thumbnails, so therefore he felt no need to actually stream. We still gonna get on him regardless.
He's honored his commitments.
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come check us out. I'm gonna throw the link in the chat as soon as I can freaking find it. It's there it is. Yeah, but yeah, it'll be a good time tomorrow as usual. Hope you guys can come through if you can. Awesome. If you can't, I understand too. And if for anyone that may have like heard this conversation and got butthurt about it, I'm not gonna slander you or say what I normally say because it's an emotional day for some people. I just think y'all should probably really reevaluate your relationship with these companies because they have never seen their way of doing business where they become a part of the community, do a lot of community events. They were big. They no longer do this, but they were really big on social media all the time. All that stuff was work. You are work. They're not your friend. They're not your buddy. They don't really care about you like that. They just care about you having loyalty to the platform. But having loyalty to the platform doesn't really equal into them actually doing things that favor you. And as soon as it comes down to they're going to start making decisions that really adversely affect you at a terrible time. The economy's awful. Everything, the prices are everything's going up, and they are like the worst culprit of it. It's just, you gotta just wake up and say, what's best for me as a gamer? Do I really need Game Pass Ultimate when I don't play all the games in Game Pass? Like, I'm not like, maybe if you play all the games in Game Pass Ultimate, then and you played 50 games this year that was in Game Pass, maybe $30 a month is a good value for you. I think most people it's not. So if it's not, don't stick with that. Go ahead and drop that down. If you don't feel like being on Xbox is benefiting you, you're missing out on other content, you're missing out on other games that don't show up there, go to a different platform. Prioritize you and not some mythical company that don't care about you. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. Well said, Slomo. No, that's true. I mean, I agree with you 110%. I think a lot of people they care about us consumers, they applied this level of altruism to Microsoft, and it's like, guys, stop doing that. They don't care about you. Bill taking pictures.
They're trying to break up with you. They're trying to break up with you. They came home at 3 a.m. with lipstick on the neck and smelling like. Stop.
No, don't say don't. Oh man, I knew it. I knew exactly what you're gonna say. Don't say that. Don't say that.
They absolutely don't care how you feel about it. And if it's a problem for you, go ahead and leave. That's cool.
Oh my God. Hey, everyone, please go check out DPS tomorrow. It's always a great show with Slomo and Gaming Forte. And by the way, that thumbnail Forte Death Stranding was hilarious.
See, I gotta make a new thumbnail. That's all. I
guarantee
you he's gonna pretend like, well, I didn't see a thumbnail, so I didn't go live, even though I guarantee he really just forgot all together. So it's whatever. I'll make him a thumbnail today.
And by the way, if you feel uneasy about the price increase of Game Pass, and you're entrenched in the Xbox community, but you're afraid to, if you voice your displeasure, you'll be chastised by the cabal. Fuck them. It is your money. If you don't like the price increase, let your voice heard. Shouldn't matter what other people say. People shouldn't be angry at you because you're not towing the company line. It is your money. Vote with your wallet. That's the only way you exercise your power as a consumer. So I'll leave it at that. But check out DPS tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll be back next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to have another big guest on. And if you want to give me a follow on Twitter or X, whatever the hell it's called these days, BRAP_podcast. And everyone have a great weekend. Enjoy the weekend playing video games, because ultimately that's what it's about. It's all about having fun. On that note, we're out. We'll catch you next time. Oh, by the way, before I wrap up the show, hit the like button. Consider subscribing, hit the bell notifications so you alert when we go live. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. If you think Xbox Game Pass is still the best deal in gaming, let us know how you feel about the price increases too. All right. On that note, we're out. Catch you next time.
Peace.